The morning sky over New York turned from blue to purple as the massive ship blocked out the sun. It wasn't the first time humans had seen something strange in the sky, but it was definitely the biggest. The ship stretched for miles, its dark metal surface covered in strange patterns that seemed to move like waves. Tom Baker, a regular office worker, stood frozen on the sidewalk with his morning coffee getting cold in his hand. Around him, hundreds of people stopped to stare up at the sky. Some took pictures with their phones, while others just pointed and gasped. "This is not a drill." The words boomed from every speaker, phone, and screen in the city. "This is a global emergency broadcast." In the Pentagon's main control room, General Adams watched as similar reports came in from around the world. More ships had appeared over London, Tokyo, Moscow, and 20 other major cities. His coffee cup shook slightly as he set it down on the desk. "Sir," a young officer called out, "they're broadcasting on all frequencies." The screens in the room flickered, and a figure appeared. The alien commander stood at least 8 feet tall, its gray-blue skin covered in what looked like natural armor plates. 4 eyes, each one glowing slightly, stared into the camera. "People of Earth," the alien's voice was deep and clear, translated perfectly into English. "I am High Commander of the Galactic Fleet. Your planet has been chosen for immediate integration into our empire." Resistance. The commander's upper eyes narrowed. "Resistance will result in the release of the beast." General Adams grabbed his secure phone. "Get me the president. Now." Across the ocean, in a small farming village in France, Marie watched the same broadcast on her old TV. Her grandson Pierre held her hand tightly as the alien continued its speech. "We have studied your species. We know your weaknesses. The beast has been engineered specifically to break your will to fight. You have 6 Earth hours to surrender completely." In orbit, aboard the International Space Station, Commander Wilson and his crew had the best view of the alien fleet. The ships were arranged in a perfect pattern, each one positioned precisely over its target city. "Houston," Wilson radioed, his voice steady despite the situation. "These ships, they're like nothing we've ever seen. The energy readings are off the charts." Back in New York, Tom had finally made it to his office building, though nobody was working. Everyone crowded around screens, watching as world leaders scrambled to respond. The UN Security Council was meeting in emergency session, even as the alien ship cast its shadow over the building. Military jets circled the ships at a safe distance, but didn't engage. Nobody wanted to start a fight they couldn't win. Scientists around the world analyzed every bit of data they could gather, trying to understand what the beast might be. In the Pentagon, General Adams stood before a wall of screens showing military readiness reports from around the globe. Submarines were in position. Fighter squadrons were fueled and armed. Tank divisions moved into defensive positions around major cities. "Sir," the same young officer approached with a tablet. "Our deep space sensors are picking up something big. They're keeping it in some kind of containment unit aboard the main ship." The general studied the readings. Whatever was in that containment unit was alive. The energy signature pulsed like a heartbeat, but it was massive, bigger than anything Earth had in its database of known life forms. As the 6-hour deadline approached, emergency services worked to keep order in the cities. People rushed to stores for supplies, tried to leave town, or huddled in their homes. The internet was flooded with theories about what the beast might be, each one scarier than the last. Tom sat at his desk, staring out the window at the massive ship overhead. His phone buzzed with messages from family and friends, all asking the same thing: "What should we do?" The alien commander's words played over and over on every channel. "Surrender or face the beast." In the White House Situation Room, advisors debated options while the president listened silently. Launch a preemptive strike. Try to negotiate. Simply give in. Around the world, millions watched and waited. The shadow of the alien ships seemed to grow darker as time ticked away. In 6 hours, humanity would either lose its freedom or face whatever nightmare the aliens had brought with them. Nobody knew that the truth would be far stranger than any of them could imagine. 5 hours remained until the deadline when the alien commander appeared on screens worldwide again. This time, all four of his eyes glowed with an intense blue light. Your leaders remained silent. The commander's voice boomed. Perhaps a demonstration is needed. Observe the beast's containment chamber. The broadcast switched to a massive room inside the mothership. In the center stood a container larger than a football field, made of what looked like thick metal and glowing force fields. Something moved inside, casting huge shadows against the walls. In the Pentagon's analysis room, Dr. Brown leaned closer to her screens, studying the containment unit's readings. "General Adams, sir," she called out, "these energy readings, they're unlike anything in our database. Whatever's in there, it's giving off enough heat to power a small city." The general walked over, his face tight with concern. "Can we tell what it is?" "No, sir, but," she pointed to a series of waves on her screen. "That's a heartbeat pattern. It's definitely alive, and it's massive." Around the world, people watched in fear as cameras showed more angles of the containment unit. The thing inside moved again, and a deep sound, somewhere between a growl and a roar, made microphones crackle with static. Tom stood with his coworkers in their office break room, all eyes fixed on the TV. "Look at the size of that thing," he whispered. Someone behind him started crying softly. The alien commander's face returned to the screens. "Your simple weapons cannot harm the beast. It has been engineered using genetic material from the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Its armor can withstand your strongest explosives. Its claws can tear through your hardest metals. Its intelligence rivals your greatest minds." In London, military scientist Jack White worked frantically with his team, analyzing every frame of footage. "The container's using some kind of quantum field technology," he reported to British command. "But these readings, there's something odd about them. The beast's genetic signature is showing patterns similar to." His voice trailed off as new data scrolled across his screen. "This can't be right." The alien commander continued his speech. "We have studied your history. We know you respond to shows of force. The beast was created specifically to break your species' will to fight. It represents the pinnacle of our biological warfare division." 3 hours remained. In Moscow, radar operators tracked unusual movement in the alien fleet. The ships were shifting position, creating a clear path from the mothership to Earth's surface. "They're making a deployment corridor," General Adams said, watching the same data in Washington. "They're getting ready to drop that thing somewhere." Dr. Brown's computer beeped with new information. "Sir, we're detecting changes in the containment unit. The energy fields are powering up. They're preparing to move it." 2 hours left. The alien commander made his final broadcast. "Your time grows short. We will now show you the beast's feeding chamber." The camera moved to a massive room adjacent to the containment unit. The walls were reinforced with energy fields, and the floor was scarred with deep gouges from massive claws. "This chamber," the commander said proudly, "is where the beast consumes its prey. Nothing that has entered has survived. Nothing that has faced the beast has lived to tell about it." In the White House Situation Room, military leaders argued about options while the president listened grimly. Launch the nukes. Try to shoot down the container before it reached Earth. Every scenario ended badly. 1 hour remained. Tom watched from his office window as military vehicles filled the streets below. People were being evacuated from city centers worldwide. The alien ships had stopped moving, now perfectly positioned in their attack formation. In the Pentagon, Dr. Brown suddenly sat up straight. "General, I've isolated part of the beast's genetic pattern. There's something familiar about it. It almost looks like..." The room's lights turned red as alarms blared. On every screen, the containment unit was powering up to full capacity. "All units, battle stations," General Adams shouted. "They're making their move." The alien commander's final message was brief. Time's up. The beast will now be released. Prepare to witness the ultimate weapon of the galactic fleet. Nobody on Earth was prepared for what happened next. The containment pod screamed through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star, leaving a trail of blue fire in its wake. Military tracking stations worldwide followed its descent as it headed straight for the Canadian wilderness. Impact in 30 seconds, called out the radar operator at North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD. General Adams watched the massive object's trajectory on the main screen. All Special Forces teams, stand by. The moment that thing lands, I want eyes on it. The pod crashed into a forest clearing with enough force to shake the ground for miles. Trees snapped like twigs, and a cloud of dust rose high into the air. Satellite images showed a crater half a mile wide. Send in the drones, General Adams ordered. High above, the alien commander's face showed on screens again. Watch now as the beast emerges. Your civilization ends today. The first drone reached the crash site. Through its camera, military commanders worldwide watched as the dust settled. The containment pod lay partially buried in the ground, its metal surface glowing hot from entry. Strange symbols pulsed along its sides with purple light. Movement detected. Someone shouted. The pod's surface began to crack. Bright lights spilled out from the brakes, and a deep sound emerged, something between a growl and, was that a whine? Tom watched from his office TV along with his coworkers. The news had gone live with drone footage, and everyone on Earth held their breath as the pod split open. A massive shape moved in the light. Something big, really big. The first Special Forces team reached the edge of the crater, taking positions behind fallen trees. Captain Mike peered through his binoculars, then blinked hard. Command. He radioed, "You're not going to believe this." A huge paw stepped out of the pod. Then another. The beast emerged into full view, and for a moment, complete silence fell across every military command center, every news station, every place where humans watched. It was a dog. A massive house-sized dog, but unmistakably a dog. It had thick fur that shifted between blue and gray, 6 legs instead of 4, and a tail that could probably knock down a small building. But its face, with 4 eyes that glowed softly, wore the unmistakable happy expression of a puppy. The beast looked around at its new surroundings, tongue lolling out, and let out an excited bark that shook leaves from nearby trees. In the Pentagon, Dr. Brown started laughing. That's why the genetic pattern looked familiar. It's canine DNA, just heavily modified. The alien commander's face appeared on screens again, but now he looked confused. Why aren't you running? The beast is free. It will. He stopped as he watched the drone footage. The beast had flopped onto its back in the crater, clearly wanting belly rubs. Captain Mike made a decision. Against all protocols and direct orders, he stepped out from behind cover. 20 years of military training told him to take aim, but 30 years of being a dog owner told him something else. "Hey there, big fella," he called out. The beast's ears perked up. All 4 eyes focused on the human. Its tail began to wag, causing small tremors. "Command," Captain Mike radioed. I think it's friendly." The beast rolled over and bounded toward Captain Mike, moving with the unmistakable energy of a happy puppy. It stopped just short of him, lowered its massive head, and gently nudged him with its nose. In orbit, the alien commander watched in shock as his ultimate weapon, the terror of 3 star systems, the most fearsome creature ever engineered, got its ears scratched by a human. "Impossible," the commander shouted. "The beast has destroyed entire armies. It's meant to be the galaxy's perfect predator." But the beast was now sitting in the crater, one of its back legs thumping against the ground as Captain Mike found just the right scratching spot. Other team members cautiously approached, and the beast's tail wagging intensified, causing several trees to sway. General Adams leaned back in his chair, a smile spreading across his face. "Dr. Brown, what size collar do you think we'll need?" News stations worldwide switched from emergency broadcasts to amazed coverage of what was quickly becoming First Contact's biggest surprise. The beast, it seemed, was just a very, very big good boy. And somewhere in New York, Tom started laughing at his desk. "That's not a beast," he said to nobody in particular. "That's a pupper." The invasion had taken an unexpected turn. 2 hours after the beast's landing, the situation had changed completely. The massive six-legged dog now lay on its side in the crater, surrounded by special forces teams who had gone from combat-ready to completely charmed. "Fetch!" Captain Mike called out, throwing a fallen tree trunk like it was a stick. The beast bounded after it, each happy step making small earthquakes. Its blue-gray fur sparkled in the sunlight, and all four eyes glowed with pure joy. The tree trunk was back in front of Mike within seconds, slightly drool-covered but otherwise intact. In the Pentagon, General Adams watched the live feed with a mix of disbelief and amusement. "Dr. Brown, what's your analysis?" "Well, sir," she said, looking through her data, "despite its size and alien origin, it shows all classic domestic dog behaviors. It responds to human voices, shows affection, and even understands basic commands. It's just bigger, much bigger." The alien commander's face appeared on the screens again, looking completely baffled. "This is impossible. The beast was engineered from the fiercest predator DNA in our archives. It should be tearing your soldiers apart." About that, Dr. Brown spoke up, addressing the commander. "Where exactly did you get this DNA?" The commander puffed up with pride, despite his confusion. "From your own planet's history, we found preserved DNA from an ancient Earth predator. Our scientists enhanced it, made it larger, stronger, more intelligent." "Let me guess," General Adams said, trying not to smile. "Wolf DNA?" "Yes, the most fearsome pack hunter of ancient Earth." Tom watched this exchange on his office TV, along with millions of others worldwide. Someone had already started a social media hashtag. #NoToBeast, #JusteBigPupper. It was trending globally. Back at the crash site, the beast had discovered the joy of belly rubs from multiple people at once. It lay on its back, 6 legs in the air, making happy rumbling sounds that registered on nearby seismographs. "Sir," Captain Mike reported via radio, "the beast, well, I think we should call him Max. He's actually extremely well-behaved. Better trained than most dogs I've met." The alien commander sputtered. "Trained? It's a weapon. Look at its enhanced muscle structure, its reinforced skeleton, its increased intelligence." "Yeah," Mike replied, scratching behind one of Max's ears. "He's smart enough to sit, stay, and shake hands." "Want to see?" To prove the point, Mike stepped back. Max, sit. The beast, now officially nicknamed Max, sat immediately. The ground shook slightly, but his tail kept wagging. The alien commander watched in horror as his ultimate weapon perfectly executed basic dog commands, then rolled over for more belly rubs. Dr. Brown couldn't help laughing. "You didn't research what happened to wolves on Earth, did you? How humans domesticated them over thousands of years. All you did was make a really, really big puppy." In the White House Situation Room, the president had to take a moment to compose himself before addressing the nation. His speechwriters were frantically rewriting from "grave threat to humanity" to "diplomatic opportunity involving very good boy." News helicopters now circled the crash site at a safe distance, broadcasting live footage of Max playing with the Special Forces teams. Someone had found a shipping container, and Max was happily chasing it across the crater like it was a toy. The beast's genetic programming should make it aggressive. The alien commander insisted. It should be establishing dominance. "Oh, he's dominant all right," Captain Mike said, as Max bounded past with the shipping container in his mouth. "He's dominated every game of fetch we've tried to play. Hasn't lost one yet." Scientists worldwide were already requesting permission to study Max, not for his weapon potential, but to understand how the aliens had managed to create such a large, stable living creature. Veterinarians argued about who would handle his regular checkups. And in New York, Tom had an idea. He pulled up a pet adoption website and started filling out a form. Species: dog, enhanced, alien. Size: XXX large. Good with people: yes. House trained: presumably. Special needs: really big food bowl. The alien invasion had turned into something else entirely. Humanity hadn't just avoided destruction. They'd gained the galaxy's biggest therapy dog. And Max just wanted to know when dinner time was. 24 hours after Max's arrival, the alien commander requested an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders. The UN Security Council chamber was specially reinforced to accommodate both the 8-foot-tall alien and the giant 6-legged dog who refused to leave his new human friends. Max lay in the center of the room, his massive head resting on the floor, watching with all 4 eyes as humans and aliens tried to understand each other. Captain Mike sat nearby, occasionally scratching Max's ears. "I don't understand," the alien commander said, pacing back and forth. "Our scientists spent years perfecting the beast. We made it bigger, stronger, more intelligent than the original specimen. It should be unstoppable." Dr. Brown pulled up a presentation on the main screen. "Let me explain something about Earth's history with dogs," she said. "About 30,000 years ago, wolves and humans began a unique partnership." The screen showed cave paintings of humans hunting alongside wolves. Max's tail thumped against the floor with interest, making the water glasses rattle. "You see," Dr. Brown continued, "we didn't conquer wolves. We didn't defeat them. We became friends, partners. They helped us hunt, protected our homes, and eventually became part of our families." The alien commander blinked all 4 eyes in confusion. Families, with a predator species. Tom, who had been invited to the meeting after his adoption request for Max went viral, pulled out his phone. He showed the commander pictures of his childhood dog. "Look, this was my buddy Rex when I was 5 years old. He used to sleep in my bed." More humans in the room started sharing dog photos. The commander looked increasingly bewildered as he saw pictures of dogs in clothes, dogs at weddings, dogs celebrating birthdays. But the commander stuttered. "We made the beast larger, more powerful. Its brain capacity is 3 times that of the original wolf." "Yeah." Captain Mike grinned. "That just means he learns tricks faster. Watch this. Max, play dead." Max immediately flopped onto his side, making the entire building shake. His tongue lolled out dramatically as he pretended to be deceased, though his wagging tail gave him away. The alien commander sat down heavily in his reinforced chair. "Our most advanced genetic engineers created a giant pet." "The best pet," Tom corrected. "Do you realize what you've actually done? You've created the ultimate therapy dog. Look." He pointed to Max, who had rolled over and was now getting belly rubs from 3 UN Security Council members, 2 generals, and a prime minister. The dog's happiness was literally lighting up the room as his 4 eyes glowed with pure joy. "In our species' history," the commander said slowly, "we never befriended other animals. We saw them only as resources or threats." Dr. Brown nodded understanding. "That's why you didn't realize what you were actually making. You took all the traits that made dogs perfect companions: intelligence, loyalty, ability to bond with humans, and just made them bigger." Max chose this moment to demonstrate his training. He carefully picked up a water pitcher in his massive but gentle mouth and brought it to a thirsty diplomat, not spilling a drop. "Good boy," several people said at once. Max's tail wagging intensified, causing several ceiling tiles to come loose. The alien commander watched this display with growing fascination. "Your species, you can form emotional bonds with other life forms. Even predators. Especially predators," Tom said. "Cats, dogs, bears sometimes, if we raise them from babies. But dogs are special. They evolved alongside us. They can read our emotions, understand our gestures. They want to help us, protect us, love us. Max demonstrated this by gently laying his massive head in Tom's lap, making the chair creak alarmingly. All four eyes looked up with pure adoration. The commander stood up suddenly. I must report this to the Galactic Council. This is unprecedented. A species that cooperates with other life forms instead of conquering them. That turns predators into friends. We never imagined. Would you like to pet him? Captain Mike offered. The commander hesitated, then slowly reached out one armored hand. Max sniffed it carefully, then gave it a gentle lick. A strange expression crossed the alien's face, the first smile any human had seen from his species. The beast, the commander said softly, is actually quite soft. And just like that, the nature of first contact changed forever. 1 week after the failed invasion, the alien mothership had transformed from a weapon of war into the galaxy's most unusual pet observation center. The commander had invited Earth's top dog trainers, veterinarians, and animal behavior experts aboard to help understand this strange human-animal bond. Max lounged in the ship's main hall, now converted into a giant dog park. The massive six-legged dog watched with glowing eyes as alien scientists scurried around, taking notes on every tail wag and happy bark. Fascinating, one alien researcher exclaimed, watching Max play fetch with Captain Mike. The creature shows genuine emotional responses to human approval. Our scans indicate its brain releases pleasure chemicals when humans say, "Good boy." Tom, who had been hired as an Earth pet consultant, tried explaining dog parks to a group of bewildered alien officers. See, we build special places just for dogs to play. They need exercise, social interaction, and he was interrupted by Max's excited bark as more alien crew members arrived with a giant space metal ball they'd fabricated as a toy. The ball was the size of a small car, but Max treated it like a tennis ball, bouncing around happily. The alien commander stood with General Adams, watching it all. In 3 days, we've learned more about interspecies cooperation than in our entire civilization's history, he admitted. Other ships are reporting similar findings. It was true. Around the world, alien crews had gone from battle stations to impromptu pet education centers. In London, aliens were studying police dogs. In Tokyo, they marveled at therapy animals in hospitals. In Moscow, they discovered the joy of seeing eye dogs helping humans. Look at this historical data. An alien scientist rushed up, holding a tablet. Humans have trained dogs for thousands of tasks: hunting, herding, rescue, medical detection, emotional support. They even have tiny dogs whose only job is to sit on laps and be cute. The commander shook his head in amazement. We thought we were creating the ultimate weapon. Instead, we engineered the galaxy's largest therapy dog. Dr. Brown, who had set up a research station aboard the ship, called everyone over. "You'll want to see this," she said, pointing to her screens. "The genetic enhancements you made didn't just make Max bigger. You accidentally improved all the traits that make dogs such good companions." Her display showed brain scans and genetic data. Enhanced intelligence. He understands complex commands better. Stronger muscles. He's more gentle because he has better control. Improved senses. He's even better at reading human emotions. As if to prove her point, Max noticed a young alien scientist looking nervous and carefully walked over, laying his huge head near them in a comforting gesture. The alien reached out hesitantly and patted him, then broke into a wide smile. "Commander," the alien called out, "I'm experiencing an unusual sensation. My stress levels are decreasing, and I feel happy." "That's the magic of dogs," Tom explained. "They've evolved alongside us for so long, they're basically emotional support experts. And you just made the expert even better at his job." The commander watched as more of his crew gathered around Max, all experiencing the joy of petting a dog for the first time. Our weapons division will need a new name, he mused. Perhaps the Interspecies Friendship Department. General Adams laughed. You know, there are lots of other Earth animals you might find interesting. Cats, horses, dolphins. More friendship possibilities. The commander's 4 eyes widened. We must study them all. In the background, Max had started a game of chase with several alien scientists. Despite his enormous size, he was incredibly careful not to bump into anything or anyone. His 6 legs moved with surprising grace as he played. You know what the funny thing is? Captain Mike said, watching the game. You succeeded in your mission, just not how you planned. You wanted to change Earth forever, and you have. Now we're not just making first contact with aliens. We're teaching the galaxy about friendship, compassion, and really big belly rubs. Tom nodded, scratching behind Max's ear as the giant dog paused for pets. And Max here is going to be the galaxy's first interstellar therapy dog. Not bad for a weapon of mass destruction. The commander looked at his tablet, where messages from the Galactic Council were pouring in. Other species wanted to learn about Earth's animals. Some were already asking about pet adoption programs. The invasion had failed spectacularly, but something much better was beginning. A whole galaxy discovering the joy of having a good boy as a best friend. 1 month after the failed invasion, the United Nations hosted the first Galactic Pet Conference. The main hall had been specially reinforced to accommodate Max and several other enhanced animals the aliens had created after learning about Earth's diverse pet species. Max lay in the center, now wearing a custom-made therapy dog vest that read Galactic Good Boy in both human and alien languages. Around him, Earth's cats, dogs, and other pets mingled with their new alien-engineered counterparts. As we signed this historic friendship treaty, the UN Secretary-General announced, we celebrate not a victory of weapons, but a victory of wagging tails and warm hearts. The alien commander, now wearing a badge that said, Dog Dad, a gift from Tom, stepped up to the podium. His formerly stern face had softened after weeks of Max's affection. My fellow beings, he began, 1 month ago, we came to Earth as conquerors. We thought we had created the ultimate weapon. Instead, we discovered something far more powerful, unconditional love. In the audience, Tom sat with Captain Mike and Dr. Brown, watching as Max played gently with a regular-sized Earth puppy. Despite being the size of a house, the 6-legged giant was incredibly careful with his tiny friend. The Galactic Council has approved our new initiatives, the commander continued. The Weapon Development Division is now the Interspecies Friendship Research Center. Our battle fleets have been converted into pet adoption and transportation services. Dr. Brown checked her tablet, smiling at the latest research data. The aliens had started breeding programs for various Earth animals, all carefully oversized but keeping their friendly natures. There were now house-sized cats who still knocked things off tables, just bigger things. Giant rabbits that helped terraform planets with their enhanced grazing abilities, and massive parrots that could now speak multiple alien languages. Furthermore, the commander announced, Earth is now recognized as the Galactic Center for Companion Species Studies. Your planet's unique history of animal partnerships has opened our eyes to new possibilities. Captain Mike, now heading the new Human-Alien Pet Relations Department, nodded in approval. His team had been busy teaching alien species about responsible pet ownership, proper care, and the importance of having enough treats on hand. But most importantly, the commander said, his voice growing soft, we learned that true strength isn't about size or power. It's about the ability to love, to care, to form bonds across any boundary, even species. Max chose this moment to demonstrate this truth. He carefully picked up a large box with his mouth and brought it to the commander. Inside were space-made dog biscuits, the first successful product of alien-human cooperation. Good boy, Max, everyone in the hall said together. Max's tail wagging caused several translation devices to short out, but nobody minded. Tom stood up to make his own announcement. The first galactic pet shelter opens next week on Mars. We're starting with 1,000 enhanced dogs, all bred from Max's genetic template, but slightly smaller, only bus-sized instead of house-sized. The alien scientists in the audience chittered excitedly. They discovered that having companion animals reduced stress, increased productivity, and made their usually strict military ships feel more like homes. And finally, the commander concluded, "We're proud to announce the first intergalactic dog park will open next month. It takes up most of Jupiter's largest moon, but Max needs the space to run." Max barked happily at the mention of his name, accidentally activating the emergency sprinkler system with his sonic boom bark. Nobody seemed to mind getting wet. The aliens had actually started enjoying Earth's custom of playing in the rain with their pets. As the ceremony ended, Tom looked around at the strange but heartwarming scene. Aliens and humans united in throwing balls for giant dogs, petting massive cats, and sharing stories about their beloved pets. "You know," he said to Captain Mike, when they said they were unleashing the beast, "I don't think anyone expected it would unleash so much love across the galaxy." The commander overheard and smiled, all four eyes twinkling. "The best weapons," he said, scratching Max behind one of his enormous ears, "aren't the ones that destroy. They're the ones that bring people together." Max rolled over for belly rubs, and aliens and humans alike rushed to oblige. The floor shook with his happy tail thumps, but everyone agreed it was the sweetest earthquake they had ever felt. The failed invasion had turned into the galaxy's greatest success story, all thanks to one very big, very good boy.